Dave.
Man. Yes.
Hey,
yes,
sorry to
yes.
scare you.
Sorry.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh, wow.
I had to wake you because I love those threads.
Thanks. Yeah.
You're looking, I would say high end. That's how I would describe
I was so
you.
excited about wearing these clothes that I slept in them, as you can see.
I don't think that's good for the
Can
clothes.
I tell you why I like them so much?
Please.
This cashmere sweater
Uh-huh.
and stretched wool dress pants.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to say, but they feel so good to wear. Are from Quince.
I knew it.
But together, they're under. Take a wild guess how much they're.
I would pay $2,500,000.
They're under $200.
Shut
You
up.
are wasting your money, John.
Dave, how does Quince do it? How do they keep their prices 50 to 80% lower than similar brands?
John, I'm going to tell you actually because I know
Please.
this. They partner directly with top factories and cut out the cost of
Get
the
that middleman out of here.
Get
And
the heck out of
Quince
here.
only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel.
Oh, John, I have sweatpants, Henleys,
Yep.
cardigans, all from Quince,
All from
and
Quince.
they're all a perfect fit.
Listen, indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/dadville for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. You heard me right. 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/Dadville to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Dadville. Hi, I'm Dave Barnes,
And I'm John McLaughlin.
and welcome to Dadville.
Dadville's a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with Vince Gill.
Guys, listen, this has been an episode we've been trying to pull off for about a decade.
I know.
And we camped out in
I
Vince's
put it off
front
as long
yard.
as I could.
You did. At this point, the police had to get involved.
Oh, they're coming. They're on their way.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up,
We've got about a quick three. No, we have been so excited about
Yes.
this episode for such a long time. Thanks for having us.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
I like to laugh, and I know you do too.
Well, that is very
It's
true.
the only reason to live.
Yep. You can see it in my career.
Small world.
It is. But it's fun. So we're here in Vince's studio. We did a recording with Amy here. And if you could see, it is...
There's no way to describe. Let's describe it.
Actually, I want to hear a piano player describe the room. That's probably better.
A huge lack of pianos.
I have
in
an
the
extra.
room.
I have a grand.
I passed it.
got a
It took
B3 too.
everything in me to not sit
You know
down
how-
and play it.
You know how hard it is to get a woman to let you have a B3 in the living room?
Oh,
Yeah.
that feels like a euphemism, but I feel like it's also true.
No, but there are. I don't know. Do you know the actual number of guitars that we are surrounded by right now?
Nah, a couple hundred probably.
And that's not. And then there's one. Do you know that
They're in the drawers.
they're
Yeah,
in
in
the
the drawers.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're outnumbered. The guitars are outnumbered only by the Grammys
Yeah.
and the awards,
That's
the BMI awards.
right.
I mean, I cannot. For the listener, you think we're exaggerating right now? We are not exaggerating.
it's-
this looks like
It's
if
amazing.
you went into like a nice guitar shop, and then you would need to like know the owner's grandson and have a password to then be let into this
the
room
room. Yeah.
that they don't let the regular
Yeah.
customers into.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I love about this room is that the walls
Yes.
are
Yes.
Fender tweed
Oh, that's
walls.
cool. I didn't even notice that.
and then the ceiling in here is the grill cloth. It's like you're in a giant Fender amplifier in
Yeah.
here.
It's a beautiful
Which
room.
is how I've described most of my life up until this point. Anyway.
And I didn't, I just got lucky figuring out the tweed thing because I'd had something else we'd hung in the studio and I didn't like it. And I was carrying a little tweed amp in here one day and I looked around at the cabinetry and I go, man, this tweed looks awesome with this cabinet. So maybe if I could, so we've called Fender and said, where do you guys get your tweed? And they turned us on to where they get it and told us how to amber it and lacquer it to make it kind of get that golden thing to it. And it's really cool. A lot of people don't realize that that's on the walls.
It's so cool. It is a. I think every guitar player would give pints of blood to just come in the room, much less play these.
A lot of guitar players are already donating.
Yeah.
Just
And then
just
they
to-
need it.
yeah.
They need to donate.
There it is.
Make the
Sure,
rent.
itself. Okay, so Vince, we start this with what we call the brag sheet, and this is
This will be the bulk of the episode.
Yeah, for the 3 minutes we have left till the Popo arrive, till the 5-0 show up. So from Oklahoma, shout out Norman, right?
I was born in Norman.
That's
lived
right.
there till I was 4, and then went to Oklahoma City for my dad. Was a lawyer. He got a job up there in Oklahoma City, and that's where we lived till I left home.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So from 78 to 82 was lead singer of the Pure Prairie League, Let Me Love You Tonight, which is that, by the way, that finding that out about you, which was a little later for me, really threw my whole thing. It was like, because I'd known your music for so long, and then it was like, oh my gosh. And then hearing you sing it really threw me, because I was like, well, why did I not know that that's his voice?
Right.
It's such a fun fact. Started solo career in 84. This is just, reading these next few sentences is just really intense. Over 65 songs on the Billboard Hot Country charts. Won 8 ACM Awards, 18 CMA Awards, 22 Grammy Awards, which is, by the way, the most among solo male country singers. Recorded 19 studio albums, was a member of the Time Jumpers from 2010 to 2020, and joined Eagles in 2017. I like these. We're going to call these medium facts. He would bring his guitar to school for show and tell and play House of the Rising Sun, which I love as a fun fact.
Yeah, I wish I knew what the song was about when I was in
I was going to say, it's the teachers over there like, Vince, maybe not
Irrelevant.
The die was cast, and I was going to be a hillbilly singer.
It was about a house of ill repute. Little did they know. Or maybe you did know.
I didn't.
His bluegrass band Mountain Smoke once opened for Kiss. How did that go?
that get set up?
I don't know. That just blind luck, Now the best part of that story is they called us. Our band was fairly popular locally in Oklahoma City, and kind of a jug band, bluegrass band, and so they called and said, "Hey, we need somebody to come down here tonight and play." And they didn't tell us we were opening for Kiss. They just said,
no.
So we're just going to pay a nice paycheck, and so we all went running down there, put a band together, and of enough bluegrass pickers to make a band. And good God, I drove up to the Civic Center there in Oklahoma City, and I saw the marquee. It said, "Appearing tonight, Kiss." I went, no way. There's no way we're going to be opening for them. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe we're playing down in the basement for a Shriners convention or something like that. And no, we went in there, and sure enough, the opening act had canceled last minute, and so we went out there and tried to play. We only lasted 2 or 3 songs.
No way.
I was going to say, did you immediately be like, okay, what's our most Kiss-like set list?
We had none. We had none. Not even. We didn't have a go-to, average rock and roll song. We just went out there, and I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite things I ever did.
No way.
It was fun to have that many people hate you. I mean, they were booing, they were screaming and booing and throwing bottles, and it was mayhem.
Wow.
And the more they did it, the more fun I had. I finished the first song, and I said, "Well, thank y'all, appreciate that, man. Glad to be here tonight." And just went as hillbilly and as hick as I could go, and no, get out of it, And it finally we had to leave so we didn't die.
So you cut the set short, like it was 2
songs.
2 songs.
Oh yeah, it was ugly and over quick. And so I went to the front of the stage and I hung him the bird, bent around, and told him, "Kiss my ass."
Oh my gosh!
And in the review the next day, what was the most beautiful thing? You remember the big block letters Kiss used, and the review in the paper said, "It was a great Kiss, all blah blah blah." All those, blah, blah, blah. But the weirdest part of the night was why they had local bluegrass group Mountain Smoke opening. He said it didn't go very well, and they didn't last but a couple of songs and were booed off stage. He said, but group member Vince Gill did tell the crowd which part of his anatomy the crowd could kiss.
Oh my gosh!
And my mom, my 99-year-old mom, still has that review somewhere at the house.
Still to this day.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And I met Paul Stanley years later. We wound up when I was in Pure Prairie League on the same record company. And I went to him and I said, "Yeah, by any chance remember a really weird night where a bluegrass band opened for you in Oklahoma City?" And he went, "Yeah, they were going to burn the place down." I said, "Yeah, I was in that band."
That was us? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I met Gene many years later after I was married to Amy, and he wasn't so nice about it.
Oh, no.
So he doesn't get a Christmas card from me.
Yeah, I was going to say, immediately off that. So then we also have, after his debut EP, Turn Me Loose in 1984, he would frequent the Bluebird Cafe to hone his songwriting, which I think is so smart. I love that. Also, this was really fun. Offered to join Dire Straits. Which is crazy. Me thinking of you and Mark Knopfler in the same band, like, splits my
pretty
brain.
fun.
It'd be amazing.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
And that offer came when I think I was just maybe leaving RCA to go to MCA. And I was having a hard time paying the house note every month, and things were pretty lean. And he came and saw me play in New York City and had a visit with me. He said, "Would you have any interest in joining this band and touring with me and go on a world tour?" And I said, "Man, it would solve all my financial problems." And then I thought about it, and I called him and told him, I said, "Man," I said, "I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to say no."
Wow.
And he said, "Well, how come?" I said, "Well, I got a new shot at a different record company." And I said, "My ears tell me I'm good enough for this world, and I think I have something to offer country music.
Wow.
And if I take this job, it'd kind of be bailing on the last 7 years of trying to accomplish something." I said, kind of be admitting failure in a way, which I'm not really going to be very good at.
Yeah.
And so I said, so I'm going to say no, and I don't know why, but it just feels like what I should do. And lo and behold, When I Call Your Name came out shortly after that, and got lucky. I had no reason to think that would happen or believe it would happen, but I just said, if I don't believe in me, nobody else will.
Do you remember the span of time from like when you hung up that phone to when you had some affirmation of success? How long that was?
Till when I got the check for When I Call Your Name. Writing that song.
Yeah.
Truthfully, because I'd spent so many years, 6-7 years of putting singles out, and nothing would happen, and they'd get to 40, they'd get to 38. I had a top 10, but never anything that really knocked it out of the park, And so, and then I'd even released 2 singles off the first MCA record, a duet with Reba McEntire called Oklahoma Swing, which was kind of a Western swing song, and it was the song that was before When I Call Your Name, and a few more people at radio played it because it had Reba on it, of course. And then When I Call Your Name was next, and everything just blew up, and I had, I would have with no chance of me thinking a 4.5-minute waltz would do the trick. Right. Something that traditional, something that country would be the one that was the career record for me,
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you didn't have songs over 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes back then. I don't know if you do anymore, but so it was like 4 minutes and 48 seconds, that song or something.
I'm just imagining you meeting with every young artist from that point on, and they're asking for your advice, and you're like, well, have you put out your 4.5 minute waltz yet? Okay, if you haven't done that.
Once. And I went up putting a lot more waltzes out.
Yeah.
After When I Call Your Name,
Yeah,
there was Pocket Full of Gold and Which Bridge to Cross. There's quite a few. No Future in the Past. I had 4 or 5 good waltz numbers.
Well, I have so much sympathy for guys with your skill set, which there aren't a lot of, but like when you could do so many, especially in your youth, where it's like you have some adversity. And I have a few friends that have been like this, but you're really good at your instrument, and the industry likes you and knows about you.
Yeah.
That there's that window. I have so many friends that went through that little window where they're artists, but people are starting to call going, hey, man, like, I could really use somebody like you in the band. We can pay you. We're doing this big tour. I have so much empathy and sympathy, and, like, I'm so amazed by because almost all of those friends decided, like, no, I want to stick to it, and it worked. Yeah. But I'm like, that's got to be such a hard thing when especially you're young, you're looking at your house note, you're looking at your bills, and you're going, okay, kind of giving this a run. It's not really happened yet. I could do this other thing and solve a lot of problems really quickly, but it's not what I really want to do.
Well, it's interesting because for the longest time, I never thought about being an artist.
Really?
On my own. No. I was always a band guy. I was a guy that sang high and could sing, and in a lot of bands, I played whatever was left over. So I just like being in the band.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't think that often of, hey, I want to be a big star. I was the guy that read the back of record covers and saw the lineup of who played, who sang. And if I aspired to be anything, it was one of those guys. And to this date now, I think I've worked on over 1,000 artists' records.
Oh my God!
In my, fun facts.
Good.
That's amazing.
And
could you name them for us really quick?
Real
just
quick,
the top 500.
Well, Dave Barnes would obviously be the first one I remember.
Let's end that there.
There we go.
I can hear the police.
There we go. Thank you so much.
But, I just like being part of the process.
Yeah.
And that was what kind of was, even the years that I struggled, it was kind of okay. I go, hey, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I'm a good enough player that I could go play. I played in Rodney's band. I played in Roseanne's band. Every now and then I was next up for Emmy Lou's guitar chair if Frank ever quit, and he never quit, but he threatened to half a dozen times. And so I knew I could go play in somebody's band if I needed to, be a harmony singer, do sessions. So I had a nice life, in addition to trying to be an artist on my own. And so I never was worried about thinking I'd have to go, work at the post office or whatever.
That blows my mind. John and I were talking as we were getting ready for this. We had about a 5-hour session. We woke up early this morning just to really get in the
Mostly
zone.
meditation.
But one of the things that I think is, when I think of you, I just imagine, again, the House of Rising Sun, that you sort of woke up in some ways, but were born with like a guitar in your hand. You sort of, and so it's funny to me hearing that you didn't think of yourself early days as doing the solo career, because something John and I love to ask guests is like, if we met a 16-year-old Vince and just walked him in this room and said, this is from your artist career, not a band career, what would he say? But it sounds like, you might have been surprised by that, which really is interesting to me.
Well, it just, it made sense to me. And what I have known the whole time is that I would be doing this no matter what.
Yeah.
When I first started, I left home at 18, and all these guitars you see around you are pretty remarkable, but it all really started when I was 18, and I'd left home after I graduated high school, joined a bluegrass band in Louisville, Kentucky, and I found this old pre-war Martin guitar, and everybody who plays bluegrass wants a pre-war Martin,
Oh, yeah.
And I found it at a festival, and this was 1975, and it was $2,500.
Well, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That was a ton of money in 1975. And so I had a newer Martin from 1971. It's called a D41. And I asked the guy, I said, would you consider trading? And he says, well, no. Of course not. No. He said, I would take a trade, and if you give me, like, say, $1,650, I'll do that. And so I wrote him a check for $1,650. That check was all the money I had in the world.
Good night.
And my rent was $15 a month, and the band got paid a couple $100 a week when we played the Great Midwestern Bluegrass Music Hall in Louisville. And I said, hell, I don't eat much. That was back then, not the case today. Probably wouldn't have made that deal now, but but I said, hell, I can swing this, So I did. I started out flat, dead, broke.
Wow.
And I knew that I was going to do this no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of started a love for me of old instruments.
Yeah.
And little by little, for the longest time, I couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
I was a nonprofit for years, and it's the only thing I'm crazy about. I don't have boats. I don't have cars. I don't have other houses and whatever. Yeah. I just bought and collected great old cool guitars, because they have great stories. Like this guitar right here, that was given to me by Chet Atkins' wife.
Oh, my gosh.
After Chet passed away. And Chet was the first person I ever saw play music live when I was a little boy with my dad.
No way.
Yeah, so, you see a lot of things, but then if you knew a lot of the stories behind some of them, you may not be as easy to be critical, of so much. But
I think it says something. It's such a huge statement about someone's character.
So good, so good, so good.
Easter deals starting at just $25 are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means tons of fresh reasons to rack.
They've got the best gifts.
Because I always find something amazing.
Save on Easter finds from Kate Spade New York, Calvin Klein, MAC Cosmetics, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
business taxes, with stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live full service.
That story that you tell about trading in and then writing that check for every penny that you had at that time for this guitar that you wanted. I think it really says something about someone's character and just your reverence for something at such a young age, bigger than yourself, whatever it would be.
Well,
you know?
It's just like if I could have the greatest tool that Martin ever made, there's such a great stretch of time where some of the best instruments that are still considered the best instruments now, 50 years later.
Yeah.
Just to have something to have the best to play is inspiring.
But it sounds like it was for, like at that time, it's not a means to an end in that it's not like, well, I got to get the best so that I can be the best for vanity's sake, which is typically the case especially at that age. Like you want to be a star. It sounded like for you, it was just you want the purest experience of music, for the love of music.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a great instrument and put it in the hands of somebody that can't play, and it'll still sound horrible.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You can take something that's pretty inexpensive and not great, and a musician with great hands can still make something beautiful come out of it. So, I mean, my father, when he found out I did it, I don't think he looked at it that way. I think he said, "You're a dumb."
He has a very different thoughts about that. Well, something that one of the reasons I love being here in y'all's home is there's all these just amazing pictures between you and Amy of people you've worked with, and obviously the guitars have these stories, and you're talking about Chet, and you've had, I wrote this down because I don't want to misquote it because it sounds like I'm not asking a question. I'm not sure that I am, but you've lived a very enviable musical life, and when I think it kind of isn't possible anymore in that you look at the pictures on the walls with these people that are just legends, that are friends of y'all's and you've worked with over all the years. And it feels like kind of these days this communal way of doing music as you come up, that you were in bands and then Knopfler asked you to be in Dire Straits and you're friends with these guys, you're in the same spaces, venues, that it kind of feels, that's one of the things I sort of grieve about music now is it kind of feels like I'm not even sure we can do that anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons I love being here is because I feel like you two are so connected to such bigger communities of musicians, and, do you feel that way or am I misreading
I don't know. I would say it's probably the way that you connect with somebody if it's personal, if it's in person, it's way different than connecting on these phones or the computers or what have you. Right. But what the coolest thing about it is for me is I never knew who it was going to be that was going to turn up. You dig? And, I'm years ago, 20-something years ago, I get a call from Eric Clapton, who I met once at the Grammys. He came over and shook my hand and said, "I like what you do." And it was very, very, very nice. And then the phone rings and I pick it up and, "Hello." And he goes, "Vince, it's Eric Clapton." I go, "Yeah, sure it is." I said, "Who's yanking my chain? Who's trying to prank me, And he started laughing. He goes, "No, it really is me."
What a great
This is every phone call I make.
And I said, "Well, whatever you want." The answer is yes,
Yeah.
And it was really powerful what he said to me. He said, "No, I'm trying to do a guitar festival." And he said, "And I'm only inviting guitar players I like."
Wow.
And that just
unbelievable.
Cut me deep.
Yeah.
And if I'd have known that was coming, it wouldn't have been as cool.
Yeah, that's right.
If I'd known how this all would have planned out, I don't know if I'd have gone. It's daunting. Like last year I've been doing this I left home 50 years ago, and in my wildest dreams, did I ever think I'd get to play a song with Paul McCartney? No. Keith Richards? No. But I did last year. And it was just...
What are you feeling?
It's the pinch me kind of. You got to be kidding me! What's going on?
Yeah. It's just
I'm going to look
nuts.
both ways before I cross the street.
Yeah.
About to check out. But no, it was the Eagles played "Let It Be" with Paul at the memorial for Jimmy Buffett out in L.A. that last summer, and so what was cool about it was we were doing "Let It Be" and. While we were working the song up before we ever did the gig, we were doing it at sound check every day, and I'd sing it.
Oh my God!
And so I'm singing the song, and we're at the sound check for the Buffett thing, and I went over to the crew and I said, "Now listen, we're gonna run this song, and Paul's not here yet, but if he comes, give me a heads up that he's here because I don't want him. This freaked me out, And so,
For sure.
So sure as hell, they don't tell me nothing. And he slid over there and was on the side and watching. And I'd met him once or twice before. And I look over and I saw him and I finished. And he came over and gave me a big hug. And he says, "Lad, I believe you sing that song better than I do."
Oh, my
God. And I just start,
Give me a break.
And so then I told him, I said, "Here's why that song is so dear." I said, "That's the song that played the first time I ever slow danced with a girl." And he started laughing. He goes, "Well, I hope it worked out for you." And I said, "No, I was in 7th grade, but thanks for asking."
The first slow dance I ever had with a girl was to Stairway to Heaven.
Perfect.
And I'd never heard it. And so I just remember being like, "This is wonderful." And all of a sudden,
what a great song.
I was like, "No." And she just slowly peeled away. And I was like, well, that was fun. That began a deep-seated dislike of Led Zeppelin.
And then Keith Richards came to honor James Burton for his induction in the Country Music Hall of Fame. And they called and asked, "Would you come play a song with Keith?" And I said, "Well, I've got to make the questions harder." And I got to, and it was just
that's just surreal.
And so life is still unfolding, even all these years later, and I love that. So that's anybody asked me for advice, I said just be surprised by whoever shows up on the other end of a telephone once in a while. And that's really how it goes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to know.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to know how the movie ends before I go watch it.
Right.
It's been pretty neat.
It's crazy how you have these situations like you were saying earlier when you're coming up where you bet on yourself, where you turn down a deal that on paper makes all the sense in the world.
Totally looks like the sure thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you bet on yourself. But then in these moments where Eric Clapton calls, it's this weird sort of two-sided coin where it's you believe in yourself and then you just can't believe that you're getting praise from these peers of yours.
And the cool thing about the feeling that I took away from that was the best feeling was he saw me as what I always intended to be.
Oh, wow.
A musician.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not a country star.
That's right.
Well, and I mean, that is definitely, no one has a good grip on the way that they're perceived in the world,
you
really.
have no control over
that
it.
is definitely how you are seen.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, what I think is, and I think you are the archetype of this.
Yeah.
That's so powerful about your career is that even if someone doesn't lean into country as a genre they like, they would listen to your music and at least appreciate it. And I think that's what's so powerful about your career and your legacy is it's so cool. I think it's one of the coolest things about your story is that you do it so well that even the people it's not really my thing, but he's the one guy I'll listen to, or I can listen and still go, that's really good.
Yeah.
And that's such a tribute, it's such an honor.
I'll tell you funny stories. When I first started playing with Don and the Eagles and those guys I was pretty scared, stepping into those shoes. And so we're doing the first bunch of rehearsals and we're playing Rocky Mountain Way with Joe, and Don's playing percussion and I'm ripping these power chords for Joe, just throttling these massive power chords. I played that song in my bedroom when I was 14. Every gig I ever did was in my garage bands. We played that, and Don starts looking at me with these it's puzzled and this and that. And I looked at him, and finally I said, "What?" You know? He goes, "I thought you were a bluegrasser."
No.
Yeah, I said, "Well, I am." I said, "But I kind of like this stuff too, and I cover that too." So
that is. I mean, I just think what an amazing thing in your life that you. I just think what a incredible thing it is that the kid that sat in his room playing these songs is now on a stage in those kind of. I mean, that's just, to me. Is there any cooler thing?
No, it's pretty neat, and you know, I think my favorite thing Don Henley said about me was, you know, once again, perception is generally wrong. You know, when people perceive something, they're generally wrong, I think. And so somebody asked Don in an interview, they said, "Why'd you get a country guy to be in your band?" He smiled and said, "Because he knows how to be in a band."
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's as good a praise as you could ever hope to hear, you know?
No doubt.
Well, you definitely see it, like, again, to get back to the perception, like you are, everyone reveres you as the musician, your musicianship, your voice, your playing, all that kind of stuff. But you seem to be maybe like, you know, the only guy who could have stepped into that role because you have the, you know, you've got the pedigree, you have the talent, but you have the humility to step into could be like a, you know, a landmine of.
Oh, it is.
I mean, how do you navigate that, you know?
Just with humor.
Yeah.
You know, I laugh at pretty much everything, and that's kind of the only way to go about it. I don't have, you know, I'm only doing what makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and with me being a chameleon is kind of the neat thing for me to try to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a country singer singing an R&B song.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sound like an R&B singer singing an R&B song.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sound like a rock singer singing a rock song, you know, and all of that is my ears tell me what's authentic about something, what makes bluegrass sound like bluegrass, and you do it to make it feel authentic, and that's all I'm ever trying to do is play what's appropriate and sing what's appropriate, and not try to fit some other world into some other world, you know.
Yeah.
When they came, you know, when you were called about joining the group, was that, I mean, how did you think about that when you were deciding to do it or not? Like, where was your headspace?
Well, it was an easy yes.
Wow.
You know, in that I actually knew all those guys, you know, for a long time. I met them back in 1980.
Oh, wow.
And my ex-brother-in-law, who's passed on, named Leonard Arnold, played in a band with Richard Bowden, who was Don Henley's best growing-up friend.
Oh, okay.
And Richard Bowden, and they had a band called Blue Steel. And I was living out in California, and they were opening a lot of shows on the Long Run tour.
Oh, wow.
And, in fact, one of those guitars back there was Leonard's that I got from him when he was sick before he passed. And he called me and told me he was sick and would I buy his old Les Paul. And I said, yeah, I'd love it. He said, you're my favorite guitar player, and I want you to have it. And so that guitar that was out with the Eagles opening for him in 1980 is now had come back out there a million years later and being played again and whatever.
Wow, that's cool.
All that to say is I met them then, and when the Eagles broke up in 80, from between 80 and 94, my manager's a gentleman named Larry Fitzgerald, and he's been my manager for the last 40-plus years on the Handshake. He managed Glenn in the years that the Eagles broke up and Glenn did solo stuff, and they all went their separate ways and did solo things. And so I was around Glenn a lot in those years, and then I did a song on that tribute to the Eagles record that they did in early 90s. I forget what it's called, but
Homespun.
I don't remember.
It's a great record.
But anyway, and I sang I Can't Tell You Why. And Timothy came and did the backgrounds for me on my record. So I'd written some songs with Joe, and we were friends, and so it wasn't a stretch, you know. And Don was very kind and open and honest. He said, "Look, I didn't really know if I wanted to do this if you didn't want to do it."
Wow.
And he said, "You're the first person and about the only person I thought of that I would want to do this." And very flattering. And so it's been an amazing experience. And I think what I like most is rediscovering at 60 years old how important songs are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You look at that catalog of songs and I go, that's why they're them.
Yeah.
Their songs were better than everybody else's, And I remember talking to Don early on, and I said, "Okay, now give me the straight, what?" I said, "What's the first song you and Glenn ever wrote?" And he smiled. He said, "Desperado." And I said, "Come on. You had to write 4 or 5 lame songs, didn't you?" And he laughed. He goes, "No, that's the first song we ever wrote together." And it was like one of those meant-to-be moments. You can just tell that pair was meant to collaborate and create and all that stuff. And it's been an amazing opportunity. I don't want to say opportunity. That's maybe not a good word, but just such a blessing to me for my last 50 plus years of doing it that they thought enough of me to ask me to do this.
Well, too, that you sort of, in some ways, where you began is where you're able to be now, too. Not just with your solo music, but being a band.
Sure. I tell people, I said I was in Pure Prairie League, but I wanted to be in the Eagles.
Yeah, that's remarkable. So speaking of collaborations, watch how I transition here. This is professional podcasting.
Well done, Dave. Well done.
Should we stand up and applaud? Is this better than a modulation?
We'll put that in post.
We do. Yeah, we do. We'll put it in
we always used to stand and applaud for a modulation in a song.
Oh, you'd have hated Stevie Wonder concerts. So with y'all, 2 musicians, you have these 2 people who have had so much success, which is, again, such a rarity because you have couples where one's kind of done it and one dabbles or whatever, but you have 2 people who've done it so well. How do you navigate that? One, I'm just curious, is like you have 2 creatives, which feels really, quote unquote, interesting to me. But 2, just that you both do it still, like at a very high level.
I think that what we both possess is a lack of being competitive.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes when people that do the same thing that are in a relationship, that's the rub.
Yeah.
It's the competitive nature of humans, but we don't really possess much of that. And she said something really fun to me one time. She says, it's the only time we ever really kind of can get sideways a little bit is when we're working together because we're both used to having our own way.
Yeah.
And so, I do it this way. So you got to compromise and find, and it's been pretty great. And we also, I think we both had 25 years of a career prior to getting married. We've been married for 25 years now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't think we needed to be Sonny and Cher.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't combine management. We didn't combine agencies. We didn't combine financial advisor, any of that stuff. We both just kept our own way and that we'd done everything and respectful of each other's world. Respect is key to all things.
Yeah.
Hard not to respect that girl.
I was going to say.
Yeah. I'm curious specifically, this is sort of a selfish question, as I have 2 daughters, 9 and 12 right now. That I'm a musician. I grew up going to my piano lesson every Thursday night for as long as I can remember. The world didn't exist without going to piano lessons, and I hated it. But my parents made me do it. I'm so grateful that they did, but it's a miracle that I made it out with a love of music because I hated it most of the time.
I had that same piano teacher.
Yeah.
In 3rd grade.
I had a list of them because I was such a bad student. I never practiced. Anyway, so now music is it's a divine gift in my life. It's magic. And so I want my girls, whether they end up being musicians or whatever, that's irrelevant. I just want them to have a love for music if they have some kind of knack. And I feel the weight of being a parent, knowing like if my parents didn't force it on me, I would not have done it, I don't think, And so I'm taking a different approach. They don't take piano lessons at this point, and it's always in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, Luke is 12 at this point. Like, I had been taking piano for 8 years, all this kind of stuff, but she still likes it. There's a piano in the house. She makes up her little songs, all that kind of stuff. How did you guys approach that? Was it sort of similar in your mind, like, this is a delicate thing we got to handle, or was it like, no, whatever will be, will be?
No, I don't think we have 5 kids between us, blended and all in one together. And I never forced any music on my kids,
Was that a conscious decision to not force it?
And it's hard to not offer advice and, and hear them in there working on a song. Hey, if you went to this chord, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah.
Totally. But you
or
can't
just like
do that.
Play it slower. Play it slower. Just take it.
Do you have a metronome?
Where is your metronome?
You have a field day with them. But no, I just, because my oldest, Jenny, she's 42 now. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't know what her real thought about music was. Could have been she could have a negative reaction to music because music took me away.
Right. Yeah.
And so I didn't force it on her, but I always made her feel welcome. They had a thing here called Summer Lights in Nashville for years. It was a summer festival and people would play. And back in the mid '80s, she was about 5, and she'd come sing with me. Mm-hmm. And I'd always let her come and sing whenever she wanted. And there's a great story I tell about her. She wanted to be in the talent show at grade school at Grassland Elementary School. And at that time, I had never played the Grand Ole Opry. That's like a lifelong dream of any hillbilly singer, Mm-hmm. And so I'd never gotten that opportunity. And she came to me and she said, will you teach me a song? I want to sing a song in the talent show at school. I think she was 2nd grade, maybe I don't know which grade it was, 5th grade. I can't remember anymore, but I said, of course I will. So I taught her You Are My Sunshine. And we practiced and practiced. We had to go to 18 rehearsals for this talent show, and we made them all. And so that week, I'm just sitting there and the phone rings, and a guy named Hal Durham, who's the general manager of the Opry, called and he said, hey, we've been watching your career. We really like what you do, and we'd like to invite you out to play the Opry. And I said, awesome. I said, I've waited for this call my whole life. I'd be honored to. I said, when were you thinking about? And he said, well, Saturday night. And I said, well, this Saturday night? And he said, yeah. I said, well, man, I'm sorry, but I can't make it. I'm booked at the Grassland Elementary School.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And they invited me later on, months later, whatever, and got to go play there and what all. But it's a neat memory for me and my kid.
Yeah.
Because I didn't bail on her.
Yeah.
And so when she got married, we both decided that should be the father-daughter dance song.
Oh, come on.
This stuff's real. You can't make it up,
Oh, my God.
And
It's
it's those kinds of stories that make all of this matter.
Yeah.
It's really, really something. And
I love the most talented side man at that time.
Yeah, right.
The
other kids are like, well, who's accompanying you?
Yeah, I got my old man.
Yeah.
But nobody heard of me back then.
The first time I met you, we were playing a thing out in Cerritos, something for Yamaha.
Okay.
Out in
California.
And it was one of those where, like, you'd go on, play a couple. Well, I probably went on first. I went on, play a couple songs. A couple other artists went, Kiss, and then you went on and played. And my wife and I were chatting with you afterward, and you were taking a red eye back to make a early morning basketball game or something like that your kids had.
Yeah.
And we thought that was just the great. I don't think we had kids at that time, but we were like, that's so great.
No, it's amazing what you'll do for them. Mm-hmm. It's the best. And now they have kids. And just this last fall, Jenny's youngest, Everly, is 7. And she sang at a talent show at school, and I went and played You Are My Sunshine.
Come on, Vince. This is just...
And the Grand Ole Opry called you that week. And they're like, we'd like to do a lifetime dedication this Saturday.
The Grammys. We have one night we can do this, Vince.
We'd like to have your grandchildren sing your songs.
That is just...
But that's
is
just
so remarkable.
You love that kind of stuff when it unfolds. You know?
What is it like? This is one of my favorite questions with people with adult kids. What is it like having adult kids now?
Well, it's awesome, because some of them are having kids of their own.
Yeah,
and that's what they said, what's it like being a grandparent? And I said, well, it's everything great you can imagine. And everybody goes, yeah, because you can give them back. And I go, no, not so much. I said, what I love is that your kid that you had finally understands what it means to love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now they come to you and go, I see how you feel about me now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's great. I mean, I just love these grandkids, and we all went to the hockey game last night, and it was bobblehead night for the Predators, and they had this really hideous bobblehead of Amy and I. No offense, but man.
Was it conjoined?
Well, kind of. We looked like conjoined twins. Except I was much bigger than her. Oh man, it was great, but we had a ball.
Yeah, it seems like. Do you find like that you're having those conversations? I know for me with my parents, once we had kids, it did change so much how I thought about them, because it was like so many questions I had got answered immediately about, remember this one time, why was this? And all of a sudden you have a kid and you're like, oh, that's why you didn't let me go, or we went and did this instead, or whatever. Sure. But have you found that you're having those conversations with your kids now? Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, like with when Amy and I had Karina, and Jenny was an only child, and Amy had 3 kids, and when I would discipline Karina or wherever I responded to Karina, the youngest, Jenny would just shake her head and say, God, I'd have never gotten away with that.
I know.
Of course.
I said, hell, I didn't know how to be a dad.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. And you wind up kind of being somewhat like your folks were to some degree, I guess. And so,
Well, on that note, I have a selfish question this is
another
becoming
one? Great. I get to see a pattern here.
We give him 2.
I get 2 and then I take 3
and
because they're all
a season. That's not so he's using both of them in this one episode.
Yeah. Well, surrounded by this many Grammys, I'm just going to go for it. No, I do feel like this is becoming like a segment in our show. Anyone that we have on who has daughters who have made it through the teenage years, because I'm just getting in.
It
wasn't supposed to start until December of this year, but it started about a year and a half ago. And I just this is the segment where I ask, how did you get through it? Is it all going to be okay? Is my daughter going to love me ever again?
It's all going to be okay.
What was that like for you? Do you remember it? Do you guys talk
That's
about it?
That's when his touring really went up.
I guess.
Exactly.
I remember one time when Jenny was young. She's the oldest. And I was living in Temple Hills, and it was late at night. She had a bunch of her girlfriends over, and they were going to have a slumber party in the garage or whatever. And sure enough, they tried to sneak some boys over there.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And old redneck Okie hears the garage door kind of go halfway up or whatever. And I said, all right, what's up? And I go, I snuck around. I went out the front door and came in the back door. And there's a bunch of boys in there. And I caught one by the scruff of the neck, And I said, who in the F are you?
Oh, my gosh.
And he said, oh, just somebody. I said, well, dude, you're about to be nobody if you don't get your out of my
Oh, my gosh.
And I was my father.
Yeah.
Of course.
Full tilt, my old man, just rough and tumble. And so then I go in there and I read all these girls the riot act, made them cry. I said, I want all your phone numbers. So I'm calling all your mamas and daddies, and I'm going to make them come and get you. And it was just the worst night of life for my kid. And I kind of let him go. I said, all right, I don't want any more of that. And went back upstairs and just laughing my head off.
Oh,
I said,
gosh.
I was just my father.
Yeah. It comes so naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you got to raise a little hell once in a while. I always heard it explained to me that you have to know where the line is. And when my folks, I knew where the line was drawn, and I didn't cross it. But if there is no line, you never know what the heck you're dealing with. And somebody explained it to me and said it's like if you were walking to the edge of a cliff and there was a fence, you'd walk right up to the fence. You wouldn't think a thing about it, and you'd know that fence line was there. But if there wasn't a line, if there wasn't a fence line, you would creep up. You'd be afraid to creep further and further to the edge of the cliff. And I like that analogy for having to draw a few lines. I told Jenny, I said, hey, I don't want to do this, but I have to.
Yeah.
Right.
How did you navigate touring when they were that age?
I took her with me.
Did you really? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so
She was a running buddy, pretty hard running buddy. Karina can go anytime she wants. And, but in those days, I toured a lot. When I was in Pure Prairie League, they toured 250 days a year shows.
Oh, gracious.
And I didn't have any kids, and then when we were pregnant with Jenny, I told the band, I said, I'm going to quit. I said, I got a baby coming, and I'm not going to be gone that much. And so I quit. And I was around a lot more. I played in Roseanne's band and Rodney's band, and didn't tour as much as I did. And so I was around. But I always felt like if I included her, it wouldn't be. Yeah. He's always leaving.
Yeah.
So they were kind of
I would imagine even just her knowing that she can go if she wants to would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if she's like, I'm going to stay home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just knowing that, this is something I have access to would be so profound.
And it's all, the cool thing is, I know it's a different lifestyle, but when you're home, you're really home.
Yeah, you're really home.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Than just showing up at 5 o'clock, having dinner, putting them to bed, and
you're going to
see you in the
You
morning.
Are My Sunshine auditions at 2 p.m. in the school gym, wondering why the guy running sound doesn't know how to get guitar sounds.
Is there anything that you feel like you still have yet to do that you haven't done in your career?
Oh, I could name you 1,000 things.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Let's do top 500.
Top 500? Okay.
I was hoping I could get that joke in twice.
Yeah, you nailed it.
I mean, that's surprising to hear. I mean, it's inspiring to hear, but of course, the listeners like, what else?
As much as you think, as much as I think I've done, I know what I've done. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect the majority of that to ever happen. Mm-hmm. So I like the surprise of a phone ringing and saying, "Hey, Keith wants you to come down and play guitar with him on a song, this or that, or somebody wants you to come sing on a record." I still do sessions all the time for other people, sing on their records or play on their records, and I think I'm proud that they still want me to. I think 95% of the time they do it because of the talent I have to be able to do it. It's not because I'm a well-known name and it's going to be a benefit to their career if so-and-so's on it. It's not like that. Doesn't feel like ever, And with the technology the way it is now, they can send me the files, I sing it, send it back. If you like it, great. If you don't, get somebody else. Want me to fix something, I can fix it. It's just been great.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I didn't know most of those people would ever reach out and get to do what I've done. So I like being surprised by it. Mm-hmm. So I never had a list before of who I'd hope I'd get to knock around with, and I still don't.
Yeah.
At almost 68, it's just kind of take what it gives me and move on.
Yeah.
I live in the moment.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe my greatest asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't mourn the past. I don't want to figure out the future, and none of that holds much interest to me.
It's always a good time to celebrate your team. With designs for every occasion, Starbucks cards are the perfect thank you for employees and clients alike. Did you know that you can easily order gift cards in bulk directly from Starbucks at StarbucksCardB2B.com? Give your team the recognition they deserve with a gift they're sure to use. They're thoughtful gifts for special occasions, events, or just because. With digital, physical, and customizable card options, gifting is made easy through StarbucksCardB2B.com.
Yeah.
Is there something when you go out on stage, specifically when it's like your show or you and Amy, is there something that you need to have happen to make you feel like it's a good show? You know what I mean?
I think all you need is people to respond.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this. Playing music live for people is a conversation. It's not like one that you sit and talk to each other, but I sing to them and they respond back with applause or boos, or if it's a Kiss show, then
Sure.
it's... But, you know, that's the draw to being musical, is you just want somebody to respond. You just want somebody to listen, understand, and be grateful for it, you know, because I'm grateful to be able to do it. So there's no, you know, it's hard to play and feel like nobody's interested or nobody's paying attention or what have you. And that, you know.
So this is a great segue, because we were talking about this PR, that's pre-roll. Thank you. About the Sphere shows and with the Eagles, like, would you talk about that? Like, because to your point, you're playing, and I just can't imagine like you have this multimedia event happening while you're playing.
Yeah.
So
such a
are you
unique
watching
experience.
people watch that?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, and my standard answer, what's it like playing a Sphere? And I say, it's the most people I've ever been ignored by. And I mean it tongue in cheek, you know, but everybody thinks I'm serious. Oh, you can't take it that nobody's. But I said, no, you're missing the point. I said, I know they're not going to pay attention to me before they even get here, and they shouldn't. The point of
you can't compete with the Sphere.
The size of Joe Walsh's nose on that is unbelievable.
That's our title.
I was no doubt.
He says that every night. He goes, I look back there, and I said, I can't believe how big my nose is.
Oh, my God. That's unbelievable.
No, but, you know, it's music to me is the furthest thing from visual.
Yeah.
When I go, I want to hear you play.
Yeah.
I want to hear you sing, and that's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
This is not my bag, you know, but I get it. You know, it's not poor me when I say that. It's just I'm trying to make you laugh,
right,
by saying that, but it's really it's a lot of fun, and it's unique for me because the way that place is set up, it's like a 360 sound experience.
Wow.
There's not racks and stacks at the sides of the stage that do the PA. The PA is all in the walls of the Sphere. It's 164,000 speakers.
What?
Yes, what? I know.
Sounds like a bad Christian convention. That's free. Come on. That's free. Come on. That's a free one. I love that one.
Speakers. But you know, I have to wear in-ears for the first time.
Oh, so you
never wear in-ears?
I've never worn ears.
No.
I hate them. And I still hate them.
Blows my mind. But you have to for this.
I have to because you couldn't do it because the speakers are behind you.
Yeah.
And the latency that happens.
Right.
All that you couldn't. I had my pack go down, and I was trying to play. What song was it? Take It Easy, and I had a solo in that, and everybody was just looking at me, shaking their head and laughing because I was like so far behind.
They're like, man, he's really chilled.
Really laid back.
He took some of those. He had some of the brownies in the dressing room tonight.
Oh man, but no, it's I really enjoy it. You know, and
how long is this run that you guys are doing?
It ends in April.
Okay.
Supposedly, and then there's a chance they may do more. I'm not sure for sure if
is it just weekends?
Will happen. Yeah, Friday, Saturday.
Every weekend?
No, 2 a month.
Okay.
So I fly out Friday morning, play Friday night, spend the night, play Saturday night, fly home Saturday night, get home at 4 in the morning, 5 in the the something like that.
Wow.
I've always wanted to get home as fast as I could.
Yeah, I love those red eyes.
They get harder and harder as years go by.
So so you have this tour coming up in the summer, and I'm curious, like when you think about touring now, what is it like and different from young VG days?
Well, the majority of the material is familiar, and for a long time I had to play shows opening for somebody with no familiar music.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Roy Orbison one time. I was opening some shows for him, and I would just marvel at hit after hit after hit. And
what a name
get
drop.
done. I go, man, what? Paul McCartney told me to never drop names.
Hey, I knew that was coming. I knew it when I said that. I knew it.
But I said, Roy, it must be really cool to get to play these big places and everybody knows every song and everything's familiar. And he said, oh, kid, it's just a little bit bigger beer joint.
Oh,
you know, it's just such a great perspective to get and go, yeah, he's right, you know. And so now, for the longest time, I would have to win a crowd over just by being able to play good and sing good.
Right.
Because nobody knew the songs.
Right.
You know, so familiarity is what people usually, I think, go to concerts to hear.
Right.
It's things that make them reminisce and remember and stuff. And so there's a lot of years where it was red hot. You know, you'd start I Still Believe in You or start Pocket and the place would blow up. Yeah. Now it's kind of like, I kind of remember that one. And it's all ebbed and flowed in unique ways. But, you know, I love playing with the Eagles, but I miss playing my own music.
Wow.
You know, and I've done what I've done for 40 years. They've done theirs for 50, 52, creating what they've done. And I've created a nice catalog of songs and success and whatnot. And, you know, I don't talk in the Eagles shows, which is really weird for me. Yeah. Because I love telling stories and all that. But once again, I know it's not my place, so it's easy. And so it's fun it's going to be fun to get my mates out there and laugh on the bus and do all that stuff. I still, you know, I've never lost my love for wanting to play music.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not jaded. I'm not over it. I'm not phoning it in. I got a song on this new bunch of things I'm working on, and it's called I Gave You Everything I Had. It's the name of the song. And I love people singing it because it is exactly that, you know. Just telling my story. I've still got songs I'm dying to sing. Yeah. But, man, my fingers ache from these old guitar strings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really a neat song.
Well, I think, too, the juxtaposition of being able to do Eagles stuff would make those shows even more fun of yours.
Yeah, but I haven't, you know, this is my 9th year to tour with the Eagles. And I tell people that, and they go, I thought maybe 4 or 5, but not 9.
I didn't realize it.
And through that stretch of time, I never got to do too many of my own shows. I play the Opry a lot when we weren't working and things like that. But so this will be fun getting to go out for the entire summer.
Gosh. And two, John and I talk about this all the time, but you know, you don't have kids at home to worry. Like you can really go tour and really, I mean, this would be my struggles not being where I am because I'm thinking like, oh gosh, they've got that thing and I'm kind of away. But you know, you're in a season where you can go and there's no entanglements that way, you know, which has got to make it a little lighter.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people have regret for the things that they missed. You know, I know I do. I feel a lot of guilt from being gone from my family as much as I have, but it's also the life I've chosen. Yeah. You know, and everybody knew going in what it entailed, you know. I've been married twice and both to other artists, and so it was never an issue of why do you have to leave?
Yeah,
so,
right.
It's just it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vince, we've gotten to what we call the speed round. And this is
where you embarrass me?
No. This is where we get to ask all of our guilty.
Won't be the last time.
His guilty questions.
No, I didn't say they were guilty. They were selfish.
There you go.
I didn't say there was any guilt.
If I had some selfish answers today, I think I might have. What an arrogant fool this guy is.
Oh, my God. I love the difference between selfish and guilty.
I want to be clear.
Yeah, just really. Okay, so this is where I just really get to have fun and ask all of the questions I want to ask so badly. Okay, first question. Favorite song of yours to play live?
Whenever you come around.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
You had that locked and loaded. All right, favorite Eagles song to play live?
Desperado.
Gosh, have you practiced this?
This is the speediest speed round we've ever had.
I'm just being honest.
What can
be a first time?
Is there? Okay, this may be.
It's finally happening.
He's a tremendous liar. That's Vince.
So much confidence in his lying. Potentially dumb question, but why each of those songs? Is it like you love the solo on one, or you like
Whenever You Come Around, I wrote after I met Amy, and she smiled at me. It changed my life.
Wow.
And that's what that song's about, loosely based on when you smile, that smile, my world turns upside down.
Yeah,
whenever you come around.
Yeah.
And I love the melody of that song. I love
so good.
everything about that song. And then the Eagles, that's the most emotional song to me because it's the first song they ever wrote.
Yeah.
And so, and I sang it as a kid.
Yeah.
And knew it by Linda, knew it by them. And,
Yeah.
you know, I had their first records. I've got tapes of me singing Eagles songs when I was about 14.
That's so cool.
And it's hideous. It's so
I've
bad.
been singing Beatles songs lately, and I'm hoping that that's manifesting to me join their band. What's left of it?
They're going to get back together.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
If we get Barnes, we could get back
even
together.
if it's AI, I'll join that AI.
Yeah,
band.
oh, yeah.
I will. Favorite song of Amy's?
House of Love.
That song is, I just want to note, one of my favorite songs of all
I
time.
probably shouldn't have picked that because she didn't write it. But of songs she wrote, I would say a song called Missing You or Somewhere Down the Road.
Oh, Somewhere Down. That record is
Yeah.
top 20 records for me of all time. I love that record.
All right, if you could see one concert of any artist ever, who would it be?
Beatles.
Ooh.
Yep.
I'm intimidated by how fast
I know.
there's usually
I'm just going
just go with your heart.
Pops in there. I may
You're a
change
pro.
my mind tomorrow.
I know.
Why did I say that?
Yeah. Okay, this is a really tough one. Top career
Impossible.
moment.
Top career moment.
Present situation
Yeah,
excluded.
not this podcast. This is
Yeah.
not.
Paying
Or-
rent.
Wow. That's good.
Somehow
Favorite career moment happens every month.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, just
That's
being
good.
able to,
That's
Yeah.
good.
you know,
That's good.
I left home at 18 and never failed to not do well enough to cover the rent.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
What a great answer.
All right, favorite guitar that you own. Let's go. Favorite acoustic, favorite electric.
Okay, favorite acoustic is that Martin D28 I bought in 1975. It was a 1942
Still
Martin.
got it, right?
Still, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
It made the flight. It made the flight.
It was okay.
Okay.
And then that white Telecaster over there on the end. I bought that in 1978 for $450, and that's been probably the most signature guitar of my career, my life.
That's cool.
Wow.
I don't even want to get into like who else has owned these guitars because I
Right.
have a feeling I'd take my shirt
the
off and
next
start
one.
crying just knowing I'm in the presence of them. So, okay, last question. If you wrote a book about being a dad, what would it be called?
Probably Always Be Kind.
Love that.
I don't give a rip about being right,
Yeah.
but I like being kind.
Unless you hear the garage door go up, and at that
Well,
point,
then I knew I was
Well.
right to go down there and kill some 14-year-old
That's the
kids.
kindest way you could have done it.
I'm gonna meet some random guy in Nashville someday, and your name's gonna be like, I hate that guy.
I saw that kid years later. He says, I'm the one you caught coming out of your garage.
Oh my god!
I said, how'd you like the fact that I let you live?
I know. I just love too that somewhere they were like, we can just let the guitar. I mean, listen to me, 40 and slipping. The garage door go up. Nobody will hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, it shakes the house.
Right. Come on, kids.
That's what's good with this.
All the kids listening, if you're going to sneak some boys in, you got to take the garage door out of the
Yeah.
equation.
Yeah.
You know,
You
find
what's
some other
funny?
way in.
There was a side door right next to the
That's
garage
what I mean.
door.
It's just that's when those hormones.
Guys,
Come on, you idiots.
I could be
like-
sleeping soundly.
Yeah. At that point, you're mad just for being inconvenient.
Right.
Just do it well. Vince, thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time.
Yes,
Fun.
thank you.
And another,
This has
really
been
want to
great.
plug big summer tour coming up this summer. So if he's coming near y'all, make sure to check it out. It'll be great.
Good to
Yeah.
see you, dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dadville.